How would they do it?
Well, I think that probably a Faro system, Faro, is going to be in play here, which is a device that has been used with great success. It's, whereas in the past we would have taken hundreds of, images, right, from various perspectives. You just kind of follow the compass and you take macro and intermediate range, and you take micro and all those sorts of things. We can't even begin to touch as mere mortals what a Faro system can do. Thousands and thousands of images. You've got this thing that's set up on a stand. It's spinning. It's got a mirror that's spinning in an opposite direction, and it's just snapping perspectives all over the place. Just voluminous.
Do you think they use
the state
that?
would have had that technology? Yeah, I think that every state police agency has that technology now, and you'd be surprised. There you go. You'd be surprised how quickly they can document. They can pull trajectories with this. This now, we used to use years ago. They used to use something called Total Station, and Total Station, it kind of arose out of the need to document motor vehicle accidents, actually, and because it's so dynamic, right? And you want all. Faro now is a game changer relative to documenting the scene and all the different perspectives. For instance, if you've one of the examples that's cited, for instance, is that you can take like a trajectory rod. If you have a bullet hole in a wall and it's got these, you can take the trajectory rod and it's got these two balls on it, right? You insert it into the wall, right, where the bullet defect is. This thing's taking pictures. It's pulling trajectories from all these different perspectives all over the place, and it turns it into this huge 3D model, so that when you take this thing into court, you're kind of, looking
You're
around.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, going back to the chair. The chair's not in place.
Right.
Don't know where the chair is. Platform's gone. Or it's been altered in some way. And if you have to go back out and do something else, and you've taken, just so I get this figure right, I don't want to misspeak, 10 inches of soil.
That's what I hear. 8 to 10 is the generally
and then
accepted.
You're going to pave over to put pavers down.
And then put big planters on top of the pavers.
Yeah.
So you've changed the topography of the surface.
Yes, yeah, and I'm so glad you used the term topography there, because people don't appreciate the role.
Right.
Like if you're out in your yard, most people don't think about, they look at their lawn, they might think it's flat. It's really not.
Right.
It's,
Sure.
It's rolling, it really is. And the slightest little, and plus when you're talking about pulling a trajectory on a shot that is allegedly at this distance, the slightest deviation from that at all is going to skew your data. So I hope that they got this out there. One other thing, I apologize. I don't mean to be all over the board. You guys kind of got my wheels turning here.
No, this is good.
No. I'm just, if I could go back to, and we haven't, well, I guess we kind of have, but when you think about the dimensions of Charlie Kirk as a person, right? So I'm talking about physical dimensions. So if he's in a seated position, one of the measurements I'm going to want at autopsy is I'm going to want from the top of his head, from the crown, all the way down to his buttocks. Okay, so we think about how we're positioned in chairs right now, right? Well, this is our height right now, right?
Right.
Our height is not as we're standing now.
Right.
Our height is this position. So, yeah, exactly. And then I have to account for these metal legs. Also, how much do you weigh? So, and if you look at that chair's not like...
it's got a little flex.
It does. So it's not tubular. I guess it's tubular. I don't really know how to describe it. That's not my bailiwick. But the chair is going to bend some. So I'm going to want to try to understand that as well.
And you're saying like 1/10 of a degree could put someone 20 feet higher in the air or lower or something?
Yeah. I'm not a sailor. But if you've got a compass that's not, if you're off 1 degree, you're going to wind up 1,000 miles in another direction. That's an over-the-top example, but you know what I'm saying.
No, it's actually even, I would say, when you're taking into account a bullet and how far it could have been coming from, it's even more of a degree of difference, because you're also trying to account for where it hit him, how it hit him, whether or not, how how it went in, how it did or didn't come out. So I think, the compass is actually even less maybe.
Yeah, and I'm just, guys, look, I mean, I'm not, trying to skewer anybody here or skewer anybody here or, diminish anybody by their efforts, because the police can only do what the police can do at that moment in time. And I don't know how long it was before they had robust resources on site,
right.
Where they're locking everything down and processing the scene. And this scene would take, it's a scene that would take some time to process. But we do things a lot quicker here in the U.S. Like I travel abroad. I speak to people in England, and I've done instruction over there and that sort of thing. And like I've got friends that formerly worked at Scotland Yard, and they would take like a homicide scene, and the Brits they'd lock down a homicide scene for 3 or 4 days and take that much time to process. We don't work like that.
Yeah,
we're a microwave group of people, man. And
is it because we have better technology, or they're just more thorough?
No. Well, I think, and again, it all depends on where you are too. If you're in a metropolitan area like this, ain't no balls grown on me. I'm going to have to go to the next case, right? But if you have the time and you can lock it down, what's the harm in locking it down?
Not a lot of murders in Orem, Utah.
Yeah, for a protracted period of time. What's it going to harm, at all? Is it because people are getting offended by seeing a site, on the ground where something took place? I don't care. I don't care if you're offended by it. I don't care if it hurts your feelings. You got to work the scene, and you got to hang on to it.
Can we pull up the video we have of them carrying the body to the truck? We just can't show it on the screen, obviously, but people out there, you probably seen it on Twitter. There was we couldn't find it. Deef and I were looking off camera for a while. There used to be a farther shot that showed like in 60 frames a second from an iPhone, like the full carry out where they're doing it. But this is at least something in slow-mo, so we'll play it for us in here so you can see it. Again, since you as an investigator would have access to camera angles for something very public like this to review afterwards, what would you be most looking for on how they handled his body to see how it may have changed any of the injuries or affected, I don't know, a wound site? I'm getting a little above my pay grade here, but you know what I mean?
No, you're not. No, you're not. Well, first off, I'd want to see what they're doing with the body relative to, is treatment going on or an attempt at treatment?
No.
Or they just, is it a moment of conveyance?
Relocation effort.
Yeah, and that's, and also, has anything been taken away? Do I have visual evidence of somebody taking clothes off, removing anything, making adjustments? And I know this is kind of morbid. I'd want to see if he, and I don't see it here, but I want to see if he was dropped, because that does happen lots of times. I want to see if I have a good perspective. I want to see if he's banged into anything.
His head was, I can remember the other video, which we can't see right here right now, but his head was hanging and bouncing around like in the air. It didn't, as far as I could tell.
So that's not as troubling to me as, say, for instance, if when you're, and this just happens, I don't know that people realize this, but individuals' bodies, they get banged against things.
Well, he did fall out of the chair.
Yeah, he did. But I'm saying in the removal process itself, and getting him into the vehicle, I want to know what they did with him during that period of time. How did you get him secured? And also, who got into that space physically with him? Was his head cradled in somebody's lap like this on the other side of the vehicle? Was somebody elevating his feet?
And what would all that tell you?
Well, it would give me an indication as to were they making an attempt to stem bleeding and to make this a survivable in their mind at this point in time, because you can't really predict how anybody's going to react in a situation like this. Right. Nobody. I don't care how many deployments you've had or how many dead bodies you've stood over. If you're engaged with somebody like this, you personally know them, you don't know how they're going to react at any moment in time to take some kind of heroic measures that could skew your data or could make it give a separate appearance from what you're seeing when you're standing over the body in a
One of the things Brian Harpole mentioned on one of the podcasts was opening the wound to stick stuff in it. Does that change the forensics examination at the medical examiner's office, or the ability to preserve evidence in a way that we can?
Now, what in the hell did he stick in there? Was it his dirty little finger, or was it a probe? Was it a pin?
Well, he claims gauze, but I'm assuming he's sticking the gauze in with his finger.
Yeah. So if you're applying gauze in there, again, I'd mentioned the 4x4 a little while ago. You're kind of packing the injury, which, medical people do that themselves. They're generally they have a great grasp of the anatomy there, and they also know how bodies react to specific types of trauma. You got to do what you got to do. So I'd want to know what steps he had taken. What was it he had packed the area with? Was the packing left in place? Was it removed when you got him to the hospital? I can only imagine that anything that was stuck in there would now have been removed by the person doing the assessment, because you cannot do an assessment through whatever the packing element is. That would have to be removed. Was there anything from the packing that was left into the defect at all? And what happened to the packing? Where did that go? Did you guys just throw it on the floor, or is it discarded in the parking lot? Or
would you want that as evidence?
Yeah, I'd want it. Yeah, I'm pretty much gonna. You can box check me here. Anything that was touching him, I'm gonna want it.
So just to
go ahead.
get it on the record, it falls below the standard if they don't have it.
Ask and answer.
Yeah, okay,
I feel like that's the 15th time today.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Can you actually walk Joseph through, Baron, what the story is that Harpole and Turek have described? I think maybe another guy in the car described it as well, but what the consensus story has been of what allegedly happened once they got him into the car, to see if there's anything there that could be problematic?
Yeah, so it starts at the scene itself. He falls, and Brian says he's trying to stem the bleeding there, Brian Harpole. Then they pick him up. Nobody's got a hand on the wound. His wound is actually down. So he's injured on the left side, and as they're carrying him off, it's actually, no, it's right side down. But they're carrying him off. They don't have any support on his head. They're not supporting his neck anyway. No one's applying pressure. There's nothing visible in the pictures that's packed in there. Then they carry him to the car. I believe Rick Cutler ran to the other door and got in to be kind of the receiving figure. So that would have put his head at least on that side of the SUV. They claim that his feet, he's too long. They couldn't close the door. And so they drove off with the door open. While they're in the car, Brian says he puts 36 feet of gauze into Charlie.
36 feet.
That's what I don't know if he knows what he's saying, but that's what he says.